Hi, I'm Grant. I'm going to learn Solidity. Um, I thought, why not I just read through the documentation? And then I thought, well, why don't I just narrate the documentation and record everything? So I'll see how I go. I'm just going to read through the solidity.readthedocs.io documentation. I might skip over some sections because I really want to get into the code and not worry about the technicalities, all those road bumps that you have to go through and hit your head against the desk and trying to set up. Like I'm referring specifically to the installation of Solidity section. I'm just going to assume that you know that everyone wanting to learn will go through those setup pains by themselves, or maybe go to Gitter or wherever to ask for help or whatever. There's plenty of tutorials out there. So I'm just going to be reading through Solidity code sections. Starting at the beginning with this video, I will hopefully get time to walk through the whole documentation. We'll see how we go. I might, because I want to learn. I want to learn this. So, because I've got a project in mind, so I might get enough information for me to proceed and then just put this down. But I'll try to read through it all. I really want to master. I really want to master Ethereum, Solidity. I got some cool ideas. It's early days, so I'm sure there's a lot of people just waking up to the potential of Ethereum. So I'm one of them. So I'm going to be reading through the documents. I hope this helps you. We'll see how we go. All right, section 1, introduction to smart contracts. Code. This example is called a simple smart contract. Let us begin with the most basic example. It is fine if you do not understand everything right now. We'll go into more details later. Code body storage. So I've got this, my Sublime open up here, and I'm going to put the code in here so I can read through the text. So how they've written the documentation is they put a code snippet and then they talk about the code. So I'm going to put the code in here because otherwise I'll be scrolling off the page and you won't know what I'm talking about. So I'll put it in Sublime. I know this is only an 18-line code. We're going to get into real estate issues later on as we go through the code, but we'll see how we go. All right. The first line simply tells that the source code is written for Solidity version 0.4.0 or anything newer that does not break functionality. This is to ensure that the contract does not suddenly behave differently with a new compiler version. The keyword pragma is called that way because in general, pragmas are instructions for the compiler about how to treat the source code. Example, pragma once. A contract in the sense of Solidity is a collection of code, its functions, and data, its state, that resides at a specific address on the Ethereum blockchain. The line uint store data declares a state variable called store data of type uint, unassigned integer of 256 bits. You can think of it as a single slot in a database that can be queried and altered by calling functions of the code that manages the database. In the case of Ethereum, this is always the owning contract, and in the case of the functions set and get can be used to modify or retrieve the value of the variable. To access a state variable, you don't need the prefix this as common with other languages. The contract does not do much yet due to the infrastructure built by Ethereum, apart from allowing anyone to store a single number that is accessible by anyone in the world without a way to prevent you from publishing this number. Of course, anyone could just call set again with a different value and overwrite your number, but the number will still be stored in the history of the blockchain. Later, we'll see how you can impose access restrictions so that only you can alter the number. All right, I'll leave it there. Next section will be subcurrency example.